Welcome to the second installment of the Meredith Library Lounge. Today we are talking about book groups, and I am Matthew, and with me, as always, is the co-host, editor, and general creative force behind this podcast, Linda.
Hello.
We're also joined today by the director of the Meredith Library, Erin.
Hello. The big boss.
So, to say that we have a format for this when we're into our second episode is a little strong, but normally we like to give like a brief update on the library. And since you're with us today, Erin, if you wouldn't mind just giving a little update on what's been going on with the building project, I think people would probably be interested to hear.
Sure, I'd love to. So the addition work has been going along very fast. I'm really impressed with the work that they're doing. Very professional. We're kind of on target to move into the new edition late May with a loose opening date of June 1st. And the historic in the 1980s edition will not be available to us at that time. So everything will be going on in the edition while they do the restoration work in the current building. And they also need to do a lot of work in the front. We're going to have our granite steps reset and some exterior painting. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but we plan on being closed for maybe a week or two during that first transition. I'm not exactly sure yet. I'm still waiting on the timeline from Milestone, our construction team. But, I've taken some pictures. I'm going to be putting the pictures into the newsletter about where we are right now. So keep an eye out for our April newsletter. It should come out either today or tomorrow.
Yeah. So we've got this question earlier today. What is going to happen with the stacks in the books? Do you have little details on that?
So fortunately, most of our collection will be available when we move. All of our stacks are going to be in the room above the new meeting room. So that'll be all of our older fiction and nonfiction. And then all of our DVDs, all of our audiobooks will be available on the second floor in the new part. And then all of our new items we'll have when you first come in through the new parking lot entrance.
So basically everything will just still be available to the public.
The children's room collection will be completely available. The only collection that because the teen room is going to be located in the older part of the building, we're going to set up a temp teen room in the meeting room, new meeting room. Not everything will be available. John's still working on what we think we'll be able to have there.
Maybe we could work something where someone requests something and we go and get it, or have someone go and get it, like an old-timey library.
Well, we're hoping that they'll actually be able to go in and get their own stuff.
Yeah. Remember when they used to do that, though? You'd have to you'd have to write it down, and then the librarian would go get it for you.
That's how this library was when it first opened. And came into the historic door, the front entrance. It was called a delivery room because that's where the books would be delivered to. You weren't allowed to go in the stacks.
It's just kind of a cool fact to bring up. All right, so let's talk about book groups. Both Matthew and Erin have book groups. Matthew does the Mystery Book Club. Erin does the Brown Bag Book Club, which is kind of a variety of topics, and Matthew sticks to mystery generally. What would you guys like to say about that?
I can start. I started here in 2008, and we started doing my book group. We started it at night around 7 p.m. because I figured, people will get off work and then they can come in. They didn't. Like me, once I get home from work, I'm done. So we decided to switch that to a lunchtime book group. And that way I figured people who worked in town could come to the book group. And we did get some people originally who worked over at Town Hall. Now it's largely a retired group, but if you work and you want to come on your lunch break and join us, that's fine. We're not a judgy group, so if you didn't finish the book, we don't care. Just come anyway. And we do fiction, we do nonfiction, and then sometimes we do a free read so you can come in and read whatever book you want and tell us about it.
Yeah, and frankly, some people come in just to chat, and that's fine too. I mean, maybe you'll find yourself interested by the book and then read it then.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was the last book you read for your book group, Erin?
The last book we did was The Alice Network, and it was pretty well received. There's a couple of people that didn't like it. More of my nonfiction readers didn't like it. The Alice Network was a historical fiction, and it's set at two different timelines. There's it was World War I, about a network of spies in Europe, female spies that were helping the war effort for. They worked for England and France, and then it would come back into 1947, just after World War II, with a young girl who's from America, who's pregnant, and has come to Europe to have an abortion because they weren't legal in America at that time, and decides instead to look for her cousin, her French cousin, who went missing during the war. And so the two stories intersect at that point.
Well, that's interesting. That must have brought about an interesting conversation.
It really did. It was, people went the whole time. Sometimes, Matthew knows, you're kind of struggling to make conversation, especially if everyone liked it. But that particular book, we had a lot to talk about.
Good. Matthew?
Yeah, so I would just echoing Erin's point, say that a lot of times it can vary how much input people have dependent on the book. And sometimes books that people don't necessarily love oftentimes get the most interesting discussions. It's very easy for, I really liked the book, but I can't really express necessarily what I like so much about it. And then that can often lead to pretty short discussions. I will oftentimes have like discussion questions, either ones that I've come up with on my own or found online, which I don't necessarily always use, but I think it's helpful to have them on hand in case things do get bogged down, or to redirect the group if we've gone off on a particular tangent that it might be best to reel things in on. So the Mystery Book Club actually preceded me by a number of years. Judy Hodges, who is still a member of the book group and a friend of the library, and was the assistant director at the library, created the book group, I believe, 3 or 4 years before I started. I want to say it was close to the same time as your book group, Erin. Is that accurate?
Yeah, about 2008, both groups.
And the interest of that group was to just read a different mystery every month and discuss it. So I've maintained that tradition. Judy would always bring in baked goods, and I continued that tradition as well, though I would say hers were of a much higher quality.
I don't bake.
Because
there are no baked goods at mine. I do store-bought, sorry.
Because of the pandemic, obviously things have changed quite a bit. We've tried outdoor book groups at the community center where we could more easily socially distance, and we've done book groups online. And I think, so I was most surprised by the online book groups that we didn't, at least for my group, lose a lot of our membership from them, just from challenges with the technology early on, particularly, and it being an older group. I did have concerns that people might not be interested in that sort of engagement. And at this point, I've definitely seen where people are getting tired of meeting on Zoom. So they want to go back, definitely. So they want to go back to meeting in person. And so next week, actually, when we discuss Then She Was Gone, my current book, we'll be meeting outside of the community center. So we'll be trying that route, and we'll see how that goes. If the weather is really bad, we will go back to meeting on Zoom that week. But the plan at the moment and forecasts a week removed seem to be fairly good. So hopefully we'll be able to meet outside. So if anyone is interested in joining us, we just ask that you bring your own sort of lawn chair. We'll socially distance. And if you need to use the restrooms in the community center, I think masks are required to go into the building at all. So that is my plan for this month. It has been a while since we've tried an outdoor one. We tried it at the library, and at the time, not necessarily on the library building, but around us, there was a fair amount of noise, and that made things challenging while being socially distanced. I'm hoping Circle Park is going to be a little more removed from the road, so hopefully there won't be as much sound and hopefully less construction going on at the time. So I'm hopeful, but it is open to the public. There's no sign up required. There should be plenty of space. So if anyone is interested in coming if they've read the book before, if they're interested in learning about the book before they read it. I will say that we don't have a guarantee that people aren't going to spoil the book. The assumption is you go in having read the whole thing. So I can't guarantee that won't happen. What was that?
What title is it again?
Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I have not yet finished it, but by next week I will have. Often the case trying to manage having it in your head enough so that you've read it fairly recently, with also reaching the deadline of being done on the day that we meet.
Yeah, always a challenge.
Because you want it fresh in your mind to discuss.
Right.
And I'm often reading another book, so I don't want to have gotten random details about whatever fantasy book I'm reading on the side mixed into my mystery.
When was there a dragon in this mystery?
Yeah, it's weird. I didn't remember that part. So the last thing I wanted to mention was that we also have facilitated other book groups outside the library that have met. We've had different church groups, different community organizations, or just different individuals who have come to us and asked if we could provide books for them. Generally, as long as they're over 6 months old and aren't super popular, that's something we're able to obtain for groups as long as we have a couple weeks notice. Normally, just like with our own books, we can keep them out for 3 to 4 weeks. So that's something we've done in the past and are happy to facilitate moving forward. Also with the new building, once we have meeting rooms, it might be something where if it's a smaller group, they could have their book groups meet at the library. That's an exciting thing to be able to promote because for so long we have not been able to offer that sort of service. And we're not currently able to because of all the construction, but once that's done, hopefully that's something we can offer book groups as well if they're interested.
In the fall.
That'll be really awesome.
Yes.
Just to be able to offer that, and for general quiet for your own groups. Because I remember, like Aaron, he used to meet up in the nonfiction room, and of course there's people browsing. So the new library will have a lot more space for that kind of thing. It'll be great.
Yeah. I want to add that my book group is also going to be outside if the weather holds. So that's going to be at Levitt Park Beach, at the end of Levitt Road in Meredith, right on Lake Winnipesaukee. So it's beautiful. And we're going to meet over by the picnic tables. There are bathrooms there, but I'm not 100% if they're open yet. And that's going to be April 29th at noon. And you can talk about whatever book you want. Even if you read it 10 years ago, you could talk about it.
Yeah. And even movies, I would say.
Yeah, we do. We tend to get sometimes into TV shows. It all crosses over.
Yeah. Nico, surprise.
Now I've
had a momentary cat sighting.
Yeah. I don't remember if I had anything else to add, but you can help
you when you're reading Matthew. You know, does she get into your book and get in your way?
Yeah. So normally, if I'm reading on the couch, she's often happy to just like go under the blankets and sometimes attack toes, but normally she's pretty calm. Other times she will get right into my face, particularly if it's around her dinner time, to inform me that I've read for long enough.
I have to read like this, you know.
Ava used to like to be my bookmark. Oh, okay. Well, thank you guys. All the information's on the website. We recently had a little mini web design change. It's just more mobile friendly, really. Just click book groups and it'll have all the information you need.
Linda did a lovely job on our web design. It looks really good.
I cleaned it up a bit, and it's very mobile friendly. So if you're used to using a device, just to check things. And also on our Facebook, the book group should be mentioned. So see you guys then. Thank you. Thank you for joining, Aaron. Thank you, Matthew.